Hey everyone, welcome back to another bullet train devlog. This week I have quite a few changes because I was focused on getting a demo build ready. The first thing you will immediately see is that the town now looks a bit different. But apart from that, there were also some changes to stations in the run and just some general improvements. But let's start with the town. Here we now have the basic first state of the town. In the future I also want to make it look maybe a bit less pristine, but we now have multiple routes we can take throughout the town, and there are more shops. These shops will at the start of the game be not unlocked, but you can do that at the research station. The first unlock for every shop is quite cheap. So for example, if I want to unlock the train yard, I can just press the update button and now have the first level of the train yard unlocked. I now also have some tutorial hints. They will still be worked on because some playtests also showed that they can be more confusing than helpful. But here we now actually see the different cards that I have planned for the demo. So for example, the light card, which increases fire rate and decreases damage. For the other stations in the town, for example the paint shop and the upgrade dealer, as well as the museum, let's check these out. At the museum, you will be able to see all of the orbs that you once already found during a run. And at the upgrade dealer, I also added a staple of roguelike progression, just general permanent upgrade possibility. The paint shop currently is still UI-wise quite problematic, but here you can then color your train. All of these stations provide different options and progression for the game. Transitions to levels are now smoother, and once I am in the level, things mainly look quite similar. However, this is one of the first changes. The special towers I think I already introduced last week, which can drop additional orbs, now are the main path to unlocking new orbs. They have a 50-50 chance to unlock an orb that was not yet found. Once it is unlocked, it will be possible to find it also in orb stations or shops. I also worked on making some UIs a bit clearer, but this is still work in progress. Another change is that the map now looks quite different. Instead of just having words here, I now actually use icons, which can also be hovered over to get a bit more info on them. Another new addition are the scrap stations. Here you now have a chance between actually taking new scrap or going for a gambling option. If you choose this one, let's see if I succeed. I don't, classic gambling, but if you would, you could actually try it again as often as you want or until you fail once. Another big point this week was game feel. So I added a lot more FX and sound effects. For example, also this red blinking train to indicate that your train is on a low health, but also a sound effect on dodge, a slight VFX as well, and just in general trying to make the game feel a bit more interesting. I also worked on just general comfort features. So for example, one of the issues I had before is that the train sometimes stops outside of the station, which might be quite annoying. So you can now move the train forward and back. So readjust it if you missed it a bit. The description of actions now actually shows the different buttons and will also update correctly depending on which options you have available. So for example, on the train tracks, I'm not able to stop currently. It will show me that I can aim around and that I can switch tracks or dodge. But once I get to the end of a track, it will then switch to showing me that I can actually stop and, yes, exactly, brake, move my train, or continue on afterwards. A apart from all of these changes, I also focused on the general look of UI. So each UI element, apart from the buttons, I'm still working on them, should now actually have a more beautiful border than it had before. Another change is now the send back station after a boss. Here you will gain a new not yet unlocked trinket until you have all of them unlocked, and then it is a random selected one. And you have the option to send back things to the town, so scrap or orbs that are needed for upgrades, for example. So I can now send back my turret and my ballista, and I can use that in the future to upgrade stuff. I mean, that was currently a stupid move because now I don't have any weapons anymore, but oh well. Another beautiful addition I added is that, yeah, the health stations now display a picture of a cat. Why not? So yeah, as you can see, quite a lot of new and a lot of small additions. And likely for next week, it will be quite the same. Just really working on making the game feel and function a lot better. Another big point is just tutorialization, because some playtests showed that there are several parts of the game that are just not that easy to understand, which I will either need to explain better or just make some fundamental adjustments. One of them would be that the orb upgrader still is not very clear, or that the difference between trinkets and orbs and how to use them is still a bit challenging, which is also somewhat understandable because they look actually the same. So with that was everything for this week. So as always, if you have suggestions or feedback, feel free to leave them in the comments. Otherwise, I will see you next week. Bye.